Hey guys, what is up? It's Election Predictions 2020 here. This is actually my first video where I am using my voice, and also my first video that is not an election night. But before we get started into my 2020 election prediction between Biden and Trump, I do want to talk about the direction of the channel that I'm taking it into a little bit. So I'm going to try to upload daily, but I'm not going to be able to upload election nights daily because those take hours of work to do those. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try to upload an election night every 2 to 3 days, but I'm trying to upload a video, just in general, a video daily. So just keep in mind, not all my videos are going to be election nights. And I'm also very grateful for all the support I've been getting on this channel. My first video got 150 views, and my second video, which I only uploaded 2 hours ago, at the time of this recording, but when you guys see this, it'll be over a day. That video already has 30 views. I just can't believe the support I've gotten ever since I created this channel only about 2 days ago. But anyways, let's get right into it. So first, let's just mark the safe states for both candidates. So these are the states that you could see going safe for each candidate no matter what. No matter the circumstances, these states will go for the Democrats or Republicans. And then the safe states for Donald Trump are these states, you know, Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, and West Virginia. No, not that. West Virginia, and one more state that I am forgetting about. Indiana. So these are generally the states that are considered the safe states for both candidates, although I am going to remove 2 states from both of the candidates' safe columns. I'm going to remove Joe Biden's state of Oregon. I think that this state is going to be in the likely column. It's definitely had a lot of red trends in recent election years. I believe Hillary Clinton won it by only 11 points in 2016, and Donald Trump only needs to outperform himself by 2 points this election year, which I think he can do. I also think that the state of South Carolina will be in the likely column for Donald Trump because Joe Biden is very, very popular among black voters, and especially in South Carolina, where he got 50% of the vote in the primary there, with even, I believe, like 5 major primary candidates still in, including Bernie Sanders, who had massive momentum at that time. And I think that South Carolina, you know, recently has been having a small blue trend, and I think, you know, it's not always been the most reliably Republican state in the deep South. I do think definitely Trump's going to win it easily. He's got it in the bag, but it's not going to be. But Joe Biden's going to do much better than Hillary Clinton did there in 2016. So now let's go over the states that I will mark as likely for both candidates. I'm going to mark the state of New Mexico as likely for Joe Biden. The Democrats here, they've been doing insanely well in recent election years. Democratic governor, if I'm not wrong, they have 1 or 2 Democratic senators. I believe both of their senators are Democrats, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton in 2016 won it by 8 points, and that was with Gary Johnson taking away some of her votes, as we've seen from recent evidence that the Libertarian Party actually does take away more Democrat vote than Republican vote. And that's Gary Johnson's home state, so I believe he took more than 5% of the vote in New Mexico. And now with no Libertarian candidate that is from New Mexico, the Libertarian candidate will not be from New Mexico in 2020. I do think Joe Biden will be able to carry it by a likely margin like Hillary Clinton did in 2016. The state of Colorado. I'm also going to be putting in the likely column. A lot of reasons for this. Of course, Hillary won it by 4 points in 2016. That's barely lean because under my standards, 5 to 10 is likely, and then 10 and up is safe. So Hillary Clinton only won it by around 4 points in 2016. So Joe Biden just needs to outperform her by 1 point. and Joe Biden is much more popular than Hillary Clinton. Of course, Donald Trump is much more popular here now than he was in 2016. But again, if you look at the polls, and I bet polls don't tell you everything, but they do give you a sense of what's going on in these states. And if you look at the polls in Colorado, Joe Biden has a significant lead, and I don't think Donald Trump is going to be able to make it under 5 points. And then here, a state that I'm going to put in the likely mark for Donald Trump is the state of Texas. See, Texas, of course, it has been trending blue recently, especially in the 2018 Senate race, where Beto O'Rourke, this young charismatic guy who fighting Ted Cruz, who didn't even campaign, where Beto O'Rourke lost by 2 points, which was completely amazing for the Democratic Party. Of course, they weren't expecting to win that Senate race, but it wasn't supposed to be that close. But the thing is, Beto O'Rourke visited every single county in Texas, and when you're doing a nationwide campaign like Joe Biden is running, you can't visit every single county in Texas, and there's 256 counties in the great state of Texas, and Donald Trump is popular in Texas. A new poll came out where if you mark it right, if you balance all the things right, Trump has a 55% approval rating in the state of Texas. I do think it's going to be much narrower than it was in 2016. I think he's going to win it by 5 to 7 points. I do think in 2024 it'll be lean for the Republican Party, and Texas is supposed to have a majority Hispanic population by, I believe, the year 2040, and by then I do think it'll be a Democratic lean to likely state, but that is too far in the future for us to predict. The state of Ohio, I do have this marked as likely for the Republicans. Donald Trump, also, he's popular here in Ohio. He did insanely well in 2016. He did much better here in Ohio, than the polls are predicting in 2016. He won it by 9 points, and really, again, I do think it's going to be closer than it was in 2016. But I don't think that Joe Biden's going to make it to where it's under a 5-point margin. So that's why I think Ohio is going to go to Donald Trump by around. It'll be less than 9, but I don't think it'll break 5. The next state I have marked likely for Donald Trump is Georgia. Actually, no, we're gonna come back to Georgia. So now let's talk about the other states, and I have marked likely for Joe Biden, the state of Minnesota. Yes, I know that Hillary Clinton only won Minnesota. Oh wait, I forgot to put DC in the save column. I do know that Hillary Clinton only won Minnesota by around a 2-point margin, or I believe 1.5-point margin in 2016. But again, Joe Biden, in the state of Minnesota, this is my personal prediction that he'll pick Amy Klobuchar as his vice presidential candidate, and I do think if he picks Amy Klobuchar, he can make Minnesota go over the top more than 5 points. If you look at the last time Amy Klobuchar was reelected, she beat her Republican challenger, I believe it was 2018 or 2016, she beat her Republican challenger with more than 60% of the vote. I do think it would be only a little bit over 5%, but I do not see the state of Minnesota going into the lean column. So now those are all the states that I have characterized. Oh wait. Then I do also have, I don't know much about these districts, but I'm just going off the general consensus. I do think Maine District 2 will be likely for Donald Trump. And I do think Nebraska District 2 will be lean. I don't really know much about those districts. Keep in mind. Also, I want to fix this to where it doesn't have the leans. Alright, now moving on to the great state of Nevada. Now, I do think that Joe Biden is going to carry the state of Nevada by a lean margin, if it's 6 electoral votes. I just think that's because Joe Biden, I do think that he'll have increased support among Hispanic voters than Hillary Clinton does because of his much, much wider support with minority voters than Hillary Clinton had in 2016. I also think that if he picked, I forgot her name, the senator from Nevada, the woman, I forgot her name, but if he picked her, Cortez, if he picked her, I do think it would be likely for Biden, but the reason why I have it in the lead for Biden, not in tilt, is because I definitely think it's going to be between 1 and 5. I think he'll outperform Hillary by 1 or 2 points this year, and she won it by, I believe, 2 points in 2016. Moving on to the great state of Arizona. I'm going to have to put Arizona in the tilt column for Donald Trump. Really, if I had the ability to just put this as a toss-up, I would just put it as a toss-up. Arizona has lots of demographic shifts in favor of the Democratic Party. In 2018 they elected a Democratic senator to serve them in the United States Senate, and Arizona is, again, Hillary Clinton lost it by around 4 points, I believe, in 2016. Joe Biden, again, much more popular than Hillary Clinton was in 2016. I just don't see winning the state of Arizona. I mean, I definitely could see him winning, but I just don't see him. I believe that he'll get very close, but he won't pick it up. And of course, he has a much broader. Part of the reason it's in the tilt is because Joe Biden, again, from being Barack Obama's vice president and from 2009 to 2017, he has a much wider appeal to minorities. Let's move on to the state of Florida. I'm going to put this as a lean column. It's mainly because of their governor, Ron DeSantis. He's very appealing, he's very, very popular in Florida, and he's a Republican, and I do think Ron DeSantis is going to crisscross this state campaigning for Donald Trump. And again, it's Florida, so it's always close. That's why I'm putting it in the lean column. I definitely could see it getting much closer, because Florida always likes to hit us with these surprises like they have so many, probably in every single election now. That's why I'm putting Florida in the lean column for now. And then in Georgia, this state I am going to put also in the lean column. I do think it'll be around 2 to 3 point win for Joe Biden. It's really these states in the Southwest, the main reason why I'm putting them for Donald Trump in a lean or likely margin like South Carolina is because Donald Trump is now facing an opponent, Joe Biden, who has a much wider support among minorities. That's why Joe Biden's going to do much better than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. That's what I think. And then in the state of North Carolina, I'm going to put it for Donald Trump by another lean column. North Carolina, I think that the Republicans are going to ignore North Carolina in 2020 because I feel like they are going to think that they already have North Carolina in the bags because it is a southern Republican state that hasn't gone Democrat in a long time, since 2008, I believe. And that was in a Democratic wave year with Barack Obama. I think it's going to be ignored, and I think if they did campaign in North Carolina, that it could be possibly a likely state for the Republicans, but I think it's going to be ignored in this election, and I think that Joe Biden might capitalize on that and start campaigning with surrogates down in North Carolina, and I do think that it could be tilt, honestly. I just think North Carolina is going to be an ignored state because the Republicans already think they have it. Moving on to Virginia. I'm going to put it as a likely margin for the Democrats. Virginia in 2016 was also by a likely margin. Hillary Clinton won it by around 5 points, I believe. And of course, as I've said many, many times in this video already, I do think Joe Biden will outperform Hillary Clinton by much more this time around. Again, Joe Biden is very appealing to suburban voters with his centrist policies. He's very appealing to his suburban voters, and I just don't see Donald Trump appealing to them more than Joe Biden. Let's move up northeast to the only northeastern state that I haven't characterized yet, New Hampshire. I'm going to give this one to Joe Biden by a lean margin. Again, in 2016, it was the closest state. It was only given to Hillary Clinton by, I believe, less than 1% and 3,000 votes. Popular vote-wise, it was the closest state, closer than the Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, those states. And I just don't, I do see again, as I've said before, Joe Biden, I think he's going to do 1 or 2 points better than Hillary Clinton did in 2016, and that's why I see him winning the state of New Hampshire. Again, New Hampshire is a very suburban, white state. I do think Joe Biden can make an appeal to the suburban voters with his centrist policies. Let's move on to Iowa. I think that Donald Trump will win Iowa by a lean margin. I know he won it by, I believe, 9 points in 2008, 9 or 8 points in 2016. But, yeah, I mean, as many of you know, there's been lots of news, or there was lots of news about how the farmers in Iowa, which make up a big chunk of the population, how the farmers in Iowa were getting mad about Trump's trade policy and how his policy was hurting the farmers. I do think that Trump's going to win it by around 4 or 5 points, but I think it's going to be just enough to put it in the lean column for Trump. And again, because I think that Biden will do 1 or 2 points better than Hillary Clinton. I feel like I've said that 1,000 times in this video. Moving on to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. These are a confusing bunch of states. So, Pennsylvania. Of course, Joe Biden was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, but again, people don't really care these days about where you were born, and really his real home state is Delaware because he served as a senator there for more than 30 years, 36 years actually, I believe. And in the state of Pennsylvania, I see it going to Biden by a lean margin because, again, as I said, he only needs to outperform Hillary Clinton in Pennsylvania by 1 point. Donald Trump won it by less than 1 point in 2016, so if Joe Biden, who is more popular than Hillary Clinton, can win and outperform her by 1 point in Pennsylvania, I just think he's got it in the bag. I think he's going to win it by 2 to 3 points. And again, it's the suburban voters in Pennsylvania, which make up a chunk of the population that I think he can appeal to. Moving on to Michigan and Wisconsin. These are some complicated states. In Michigan, they have a Republican running for the U.S. Senate, John James, I believe is his name. Very charismatic young black guy, which could appeal to the minority voters in Michigan, although I'm not sure if there is that many, maybe in the Detroit area and whatnot. But Michigan, I do see it going for Joe Biden by a very, very small margin, by a tilt margin. I see it going to Joe Biden. Michigan, it's just, actually no, I'm going to change the characterization to a lean margin. I'd say he's going to win it by from 1 to 3 points. Michigan, the suburbs, I think are going to come out for him much more than they came out for Hillary Clinton. I think that his appeal to white voters is actually more than Hillary Clinton. He doesn't have a huge bunch of scandals like Hillary Clinton, although the Terry Reade sexual assault allegations are coming to light in the mainstream media. I think he'll win Michigan by a lean margin. The state of Wisconsin. This is a very complicated state to predict, but I'm going to put it for Donald Trump in the lean tilt margin. I really think it's a toss-up, the same way I think Arizona is a true toss-up. I see Joe Biden winning it. I see it's really like a 52% chance for Trump and a 48% chance for Biden. So I just think, I saw there was this poll that came out the other day that showed Trump up by 7 in Wisconsin, 7 points over Biden, but I do think that Biden, again, he's going to outperform Clinton by a few points. So I do think that's why I see Wisconsin going in for the tilt margin for Trump. And that's my prediction. I think it's going to be extremely close, and I really just can't predict a winner 100% yet, because I think Trump and Biden are both not the best candidates, and I think we'll have to wait to protect the states of Wisconsin and Arizona, protect them with confidence. But as of now, what day is today? May 9th, 2020, I do think that Donald Trump will win the election very, very, very narrowly, 270 electoral votes to 268 electoral votes. That is how much I would predict that Donald Trump's going to win it by, and there's my prediction. So thank you guys for watching this video so much. Again, as I said in the beginning of the video, I'm so thankful for all the support I've gotten ever since I started this channel. So it would be great if you guys went ahead and subscribed, liked the video, and comment what I should do next. And thank you, and have a nice day.